Hello everyone, and here we are. Here's my skirmish win. So, this is an Irelia versus a Teemo matchup that I recorded in person at my local skirmish. And we're going to go first because we had the number 1 seed. So, to open this, right, we definitely do want to keep a 2-drop and a Spry Fountain. Right? Now we've got too many 2-drops, which is the downside. So Windsinger's not going to hit much on Irelia, I found, so I'm dropping that. And Purple Teemo, no, I need the damage more than I need 4 might. They'll just overcome 4 might. They'll overcome 4 might, they'll overcome, and the Windsinger won't do much, unfortunately. So I write down, obviously you can see what I'm putting to the bottom. Very important, because I found I go through my deck. It's also important for when you're not, it obviously doesn't matter in Top Cut, but it can, you know, he can slow the game down a little bit, and that's quite good. So my opening battlefield for this one was Star Tipped. The reason I chose Star Tipped was because I really want the runes for the deflect. So I have to drop, obviously I can't play a Spry Fountain, and I probably wouldn't anyway, because there's no point being on an uneven point tempo. So the ideal play when you're going first is a 2-drop and a pass, right? And then you would, hopefully we get some blue, right? And then we double conquer immediately. It's good that I really tapped out with stack deck. So I shortcut here, jumped in. Obviously the scuttle doesn't help, but yeah. So now, why do I put Tide Turner under Star Tipped? Reason being is that it's easier to hold that. I need more might on the abandoned hole, that's the reason, right? Because he could buff up his scuttle and contest it. Obviously we hide Teemo on the temporary one, and then we hide a Tide Turner on the other one. The reason being is that we can swap Teemo over. And then we pass it over. So we don't need to keep any mana open, because it's just a scuttle. Then we don't have to worry about an accelerated Irelia right now, and if it's an accelerated, what is it, an accelerated Silicon, we're chilling with that. We can trade with that at minimum, right? And if they really want to use a lot of stuff to win the fight and not trade, we've got a Spry Fountain to come back in, so it's okay to tap out and not hold up mana at this point. But yeah, this is the ideal opener, where we go to 2-1. So let me... 2-0, sorry. We got the Sprite Dog out, EP. So that's, see what happens. So he's tapping everything. Is this an Irelia time? No, it's a Stellarcorn. It's a Stellarcorn time. So obviously on the Death Knell trigger, we reveal Teemo. He hasn't got a Gust. So the reason he didn't Gust a Teemo just then, very good for us to know, right? So don't forget you start to peek for the trigger for the extra draw, the extra channel, sorry. So him not Gusting Teemo in response to the hold makes us really, is likely good in hand intel to know that he hasn't got a Gust. So for us, we've got a Spry Coal and a Spry Fountain to do recontest. And we've got a Guerrilla Warfare that's kind of doing nothing right now. So, with this in mind, what I'm doing is I'm hiding the Teemo, bring the Teemo back to my hand, and then I'm just going to re-hide him. Because there's no reason to have him exposed if there's no reason to. So our hand is a tad bricked, right? So up to 4 now. So the hand is a tad bricked, right? And it's not amazing. Realistically, we need to start getting some draws, or we're gonna be in a pickle. As it stands right now, the runes aren't doing anything for us. So he's walking that in, and then what we're gonna do is obviously we're revealing these two and swapping them over. And then tiling the Stellarcorn. We've got 3 mana open still to play our one actual combat trick, which is a Spry Coal. Normally you wouldn't use it as a combat trick, but this is potentially one of the situations we want to. So important thing to note is that even, of course, you know, that's a big card gone. We'd love to see that. That means there's one less there for our switcheroo. So we're actually happy with that. So we still reveal the top 5. So these are cards we actually don't want to draw right now. None of these cards are draw cards. Obviously CTP is a little, Consult the Past is a little bit of a loss, but every other card in there, we're actually happy they've gone to the bottom, which is quite nice. So obviously, make sure you write them down because you can go through your whole deck, right? Very important part. A lot of teamers don't. Make sure you do. Very important thing to do. Write down all the cards you'll put into the bottom because you can go through your deck, and I've done it many times, and you need to know and see what you've got as an option, right? So right now as it stands, obviously he's winning the fight. So, and I've got a Guerrilla Warfare, right? So I can bring back my Sprite Call. And one of the only, it's that way so that we can slightly less brick the card and get some cards out for him for nothing. So we'll put the Sprite in there, and he's going to be forced to do either 2 buff spells or a Defiant Dance. And the fact that there's a Defiant Dance is good. 1 less Defiant Dance for Irelia, right? Happy with that. Obviously the D-ramp for him is always good, but we're very happy that he's down 1. So he gets a point and knocks us off 1 battlefield. Puts a GA down, doesn't equip it, which is good for us to do. No, right? So we're going up to 5 now, and we're on good points, right? If we can get back over there and get back to 6, we're doing great, which is what I'm trying to do. So, we've got essentially a way to get 2 sprites out. He's only got 1 mana open. At best, that's a Gust. At best, that's a Defiant Dance, which he's already used. And most likely it's going to be a buff spell, right? So what I'm doing is I'm bringing back the only 2 legal targets, and I'm going to play 2 accelerated units out, 2 sprites. Reason being is that it's pretty confirmed that we'll get the fight, assuming he doesn't also have a Defiant Dance. Sometimes the only way to beat an Irelia is to do it, right? So even the order you play them in is important. So I'm playing them in the order that plays the Sprite Call first. He's thinking like, oh, what's he going to do? A Sprite Call? I don't need to defy that. But then I drop a Sprite Fountain afterwards, which is undefiable. And now he's realized, oh damn, there's 2 sprites. So we get the free point, we get the free conquer, and we go up to 6. So it's little things, right? Every single thing that you do in this game, every single order, the battlefields you choose, and the cards you play and where you hide, they're all extremely important. Because you have to play around so many cards. You have to play around Gust, Flash, Starcross, Defy, Not So Fast. And that's it. That's pretty much it. So, with the Guerrilla Warfare, you can hide for free, right? So what I've done is I've hidden, I believe, is 2 blue Teemos. I'd have to check, but I believe it's 2 blue Teemos, or maybe 1 Taito and a blue Teemo, right? Because we got Starcross, and I believe we drew another one. So we'll fast forward while he's doing some thinking, plays that out. Obviously, if he gets the Conquer, that's not great for us, because Sprite Fountain. So him, Adaptatron getting a Conquer, very not good for us. However, he is using a fair bit of, he did use a few runes to make that ready and send it in with GA. And he's still got 3 open, so you've got to assume that that guy's going to get mega buffed, right? That's where you flip the Teemo, and let's see how we go. So we haven't seen any knocks yet, so you know how many cards you've gone through on the deck. Realistically, the odds of hitting a knock now is really good, and you have to consider that. So he's going to buff him before the trigger. That way he makes sure that, you know, he lives. Here we go. 1 damage. 2 damage. Nocturne. There we go. Miss. Miss. Alright, so it's 2 stacked decks and 2 switcheroos gone. Actually very sad, because those switcheroos usually are out into an Irelia matchup. So it's actually really rough hits for us, and the stacked decks obviously help us go find the switcheroos and stuff. However, we hit 2 damage, we hit a Nocturne. that's kind of all we need right now. Make sure you write them down as well. That Nocturne hit was very important. So we're able to play Nocturne there now and force him to either A, use more spells, or potentially, you know, get a trade. Yep, he's happy with that. He's killed a few things, and Spike Fountain lives another day, which we're happy with, right? Unfortunately, we're down at Teemo. Very sad. And then we got, and that's it. Bam, done. Game 1. 8-1. He ran out of juice, ran out of cards, ran out of buffs, and we ran out of units, and we gassed him 8-1. That's exactly how you do it. That's the battlefield order. That's the card order. That's where you hide things, and you know, a knock, and you knowing the odds that you're going to hit a knock can help you influence your decisions you make. So, on to game 2. Sideboarding. So, moving into game 2, with a game win, you're happy to completely write off that game, right? You're happy to completely lose this game, and you don't care. So this is where you put out your whole battlefield. Against an Irelia, you need every advantage you can get. So you give them the whole battlefield. Them getting cards can unbrick them, and one of the only ways you win is they brick. So you actually really don't want them to have this battlefield. So this is usually your write-off battlefield. So I've put down the Grove because we're okay with them having this game. We're completely okay with that, so we can have an explosive Arena's Greatest on the game 3 and win. Oh no. Here we are. So we're doing some sideboarding, right? So what am I doing? What do I sideboard out? Existential Dread, number 1. Existential Dread, number 2. They're defied. And they hit deflect too hard with because you repeat it. Ride the Wind. If Ride the Wind's going to matter and win me a game, he's going to defy it, right? And then I cut a Consult the Past. Because, again, he's going to defy it most of the time, and we have the draw battlefield, don't need it. What do I put in? We're putting in 2 Rebukes, we're putting in 2 Turn of Dust. Because GA sucks for us, Boots of Swiftness sucks even more, right? Boots of Swiftness is a way an Irelia can steamroll us. You get rid of Boots of Swiftness, life is good. Obviously, the defiable cards, but it is what it is, right? So, and then obviously Rebuke is unable to be countered except with Not So Fast. So we're happy with that. I spent a long time shuffling because I want to make sure my odds are good. I'm still shuffling, don't mind me. Yep. I decide to give my opponent, I swap the top 4 cards, the next top 4 cards, and give it over to him. Because this is just a little part of the Teemo shenanigans, right? Do weird cuts, get in their head, make them feel like, you know, you're controlling the game from day one. You're controlling the game from day one. So, low-key, this opener sucks. We're not getting on the battlefield. So Guerrilla Warfare, too early. Great to bring switcheroos back, but not great if we don't have any switcheroos. And Wind and Tide, not awesome. So what I'm doing is I'm dropping them both, hoping that I get a way to turn 1 Conquer, and keeping the Windsinger to bounce his unit that he conquered with. Probably a Skull Crab, right? Or anything like that. However, that didn't obviously work out either. We didn't draw a way to turn 1 Conquer again. So a little bit of a rough start for us, right? He's played a Tide Turner, and we top deck nothing. Obviously, that Rebuke and that Switcheroo, amazing for us. That Turn to Dust, amazing. So these are really great cards against the matchup. However, we don't have a way to get on the battlefield first. So you gotta do that, and because we have 1 spare mana, we're bringing Teemo to our hand to help with the Teemo shenanigans, right? This is just how it is. But we are going really slow, and it is concerning for us. So he gets the first point, right? Easy done. Sorry for my sniffly nose. It is the morning here, and I am a tad cooked after a massive weekend of playing skirmishes. Getting the double back-to-back wins against Irelias though. Let's go. I don't know how. We're cooking. We're cooking them right now in locals. Cool. And then we drew a Nocturne. This is rough. We have some good cards, but we do not. Again, we're bricking out over here. So he's gonna think that I'm gonna, as I've done most games, and including the previous games I did against him earlier in the Swiss, he's gonna think that I'm gonna walk in there, right? With a Sprite or something, and he's holding up mana for that, so he doesn't do anything to my Windsinger. Little does he know, is that I can't get in there right now, which is good. It's working. It's actually working for us. So, what's our line here, right? This line is, let's make sure we hold this battlefield, and we're going to play a Teemo from our hand, the one he knows that's there. And then we're going to tap one, hide another Teemo, and then, don't forget the trigger, we get to get the battlefield, right? Untap your 2. So, and Irelia won't be able to help themselves, they'll walk in there eventually. So we're going to have a lot of triggers. But, as you can see, this is a little bit of a, this is not looking too well for us. We have some great cards. We don't have the mana to use them either because we only got 2 purple. And we do have, we're very good at holding one battlefield, but unless we can get the point tempo to get onto the other battlefield and win, we are in a pickle, right? He can just take as long as he wants, set up some Stelicon, set up some Irelias, do some adventures with them, get huge card advantage, and eventually send it in when he's confident, and that whole strategy won't work. He will Starcross whatever I switcheroo, he'll not so fast my Rebuke, he'll flash back to base my other switcheroo, stuff like that, right? Eventually he'll lose it. He'll obviously also keep charming stuff off. So, I made a tactical decision here. He's charmed my Teemo on. He's only got 3 mana left. I'm going to sack these cards and rebuke the Tide Turner. Because this puts me up dramatically on point tempo. Like, hugely. And if he's got a Not So Fast, we get good intel on that. And then he's going to be forced to use a card to buff. And then he might not also have another buff card for the Tide Turner. What he does instead is bounces my Teemo, which is good. This now means that Irelia won't be getting a draw next turn because she's off the battlefield. And it does open an opportunity for me if I get any kind of card on my top deck that lets me get in there for free. So the moment he gets a draw trigger, I'm actually popping Teemo revealed so I can get him readied. That's the reason why I have done that. Little thing, right? We want him readied. So, thank God, we get a Tide Turner. We swap the Teemo. We walk into there. We get up. We get up on that point tempo now. We're looking good. Life's getting a little better for us. So, now what do you hide where? We're hiding a Teemo with a Teemo. And then, since I don't have enough mana to play a switcheroo, I'm pondering hiding a switcheroo here. That's what I'm pondering, right? Do I hide a switcheroo? And I'm running the numbers. I'm thinking about it. Am I hiding it? Look, it could right? So instead, what I do is I move the Windsinger back to base, and end my turn, right? Now, why did I do that? Because switcheroo can be used on the Windsinger when he walks back in. One less gust makes life good for us, which means Windsinger is more likely going to be able to switch a route. So if he sends a massive unit in and gets a Conquer and it stays there, we can walk the Windsinger in and reconquer with a switcheroo, right? There's no point keeping the Windsinger there because he's going to need to buff something up enough to be able to beat Tide Turner. If he's buffed enough to be able to beat Tide Turner, he can buff it up enough to beat both Tide Turner and Windsinger with the same amount of cards. There's no reason keeping it there to deny him one extra card. Instead, we want to use it as a reconquer insurance, right? Now, and on the other battlefield, I'm confident that he can't get over 2 Teemos, which could be up to 10 damage, more likely sitting around that 6 damage mark, right? Plus trading up to 10 damage. So that's my thoughts, right? He's got a Stelicon, we're chilling with that. He's buffed the Stelicon up. He's readying the Stelicon, but it's not alone, so that's only a 4-month Stelicon. But again, you know, 4 Might Cyclone would be our 3 Might there, so we would have lost a Windsinger for nothing. So there's no point, right? So he's attached the GA, and we go up to 4, and he's on 3. So again, we've got point tempo and we're chilling. So we've got a couple of things here. It's good to see some switcheroos. However, we've only got mana to play for one of them. Now, he might have a Gust, he might have a Defy. This Turn of Dust could be a way to get one of them out. So we're going to attempt to Turn of Dust the GA. It works. Cool, that's good to know. He hasn't got a Defy in his hand. Very good info for us. Now, still though, the Stelicorn's sitting at 4 Might, which kind of sucks for us. 4 Might Stelicorn, we walk in a 1 Might Windsinger, he can do like any kind of buff spell, Defiant Dance, and get us to a trade, right? He's got enough to probably do that. Alternatively, we can sit on the other battlefield and chill, right? So this is me thinking about my options. What I'm gonna do. In the end, I've decided just to pass it. Him seeing that I've got a lot of mana open is very concerning for him. Obviously, this game's going really slow, and he's got a decent advantage on it. However, the fact that he's on the draw battlefield really helps me. Here, I've managed to get onto the most important one. He's spent a fair few buffs already, and the GA is gone, which is great. However, there's still that pesky little Scuttlecrab, which will get some info, right? We're deciding about points, right? He thinks that I'm not on 4 points, but I'm just saying that I am. This is someone knocked my camera, shaking my head. There was so much walkway space, I don't know how they went into it, shaking my head. Silly, silly, silly. He's gonna bounce my Teemo. And I'm going to reveal another Teemo. The fact that he's bouncing his Scuttle there is good info that he might have a slightly bricked hand, and he needs the draw, right? That's actually really good for us to know. So he's gonna move that back to base, get a draw, and then play a Scuttle, get another draw. So that's really good for us to know that his hand isn't looking amazing. And he's gonna drop, oh god, his hand is bricked with Scuttles, right? So it's really good for us. So we're on to 5 points, and he's left the battlefield open for us, tapped out, for us to go up. Make sure you get your double draw, and go up to 6 points, right? Very good, very important. Very good to know. So, our hand is interesting. Bone Skewer, a couple of switcheroos. We can get info on his hand, and we can know if our switcheroos will work or if we need a different line. Now, do we do it right now, or do we do it later? There's a few different ways to play this turn, and since we are threatening victory, we need to make sure we play it right, so we can win right now and don't let him have a chance. Ah, big sneeze. So, what do we do about this? There's multiple ways to play this, right? Multiple ways to skin a cat. He knows I've got 2 blue Teemos, so is there a reason to even hide a blue Teemo? The light's reflecting really poorly. It is, but that is a Teemo on that battlefield, right? So what we're doing is we're actually going to play the Teemo from my hand to the battlefield. And don't forget we get an untap 2 from start tipped, so that can inform our what we do. And then I'm going to hide a Bone Skewer. I don't want to hide a Switcheroo, because I've got enough mana to both A, cast both Switcheroos from raw from my hand, and that's safer than hiding it right now. And we're okay with sacking all our runes to win the game. Now, the other battlefield, he is going to have to use cards to get in there, right? He's going to have to use a buff on one of his scuttles, or he's just going to walk Stellacorn in. And that's, 3 less might to worry about on the other battlefield. And then we get the draws, right? So it's pretty good. So, the moment we get priority, we're using that Bone Skewer. Cool. He's walking in there. And we immediately use that Bone Skewer to have a peep. Very important for us. He's got, one switcheroo's dead. He's got a stacked deck to go digging and Defy, a Discipline, a Ride the Wind, and a couple of Tide Turners, and a Defiant Dance. That is a very good hand for him, not good for us, right? So, this is very important. This informs your decision making. That Defy being gone, that Defy is going to be a Brit card. We're never going to use anything that makes him able to defy it. Ride the Wind, you just got to be aware of it, right? We're aware that he can do some weird cheeky shenanigans. Stack deck, go digging, whatever. But then the +2 from Discipline and a draw and a Defiant Dance, obviously huge to know, and the Not So Fast, the most important card for us to know that's in there. So we write that down, because you don't want to forget about it, right? And we actually bring in a Tide Turner. And now there is a potential risk to do this, because the Irelia might realize that you can swap the Tide Turner, and my Teemo triggers now fizzle, right? Well, they look at 10 cards but do nothing, right? However, he does not realize this, and the way you beat Irelia is to do risky plays. That's one of the only ways to do it. He also misplays here and plays a Discipline onto his Tide Turner when he shouldn't, because it's A, it's stunned, and B, I'm going to hit more than 4 damage. Like, with 10 cards, the odds are in my favor, right? So here we go. Whoa, 1, 2, 3. He almost dies with 1 trigger. Cool. So obviously you write them down. I don't think I need to at this point. I would normally. No, I do write them down in the end, because, I realize that we can go through the whole deck. So they go to the bottom. And we go to the next one, and obviously he's dead. He's even more dead. He's mega dead. He's hugely dead. He's cooked. Turn to dust, thank God it's gone. It's a Brit card. Losing a switcheroo, very sad, right? And a couple of those other cards. So he's dead. And obviously the Teemo thing happens. So now I reveal my hand. So the Nocturne's a bit of a brick in our hand. Sneaky deckhand could come in later, but also likely a brick. And the double switcheroo, which he's got a Not So Fast for. Right, and the Sprite Fountain. It's good for us to get a Reconquer. Or trade into and then drop a Sneaky Deckhand, right, to get the Conquer. So, but he gets all that info. The double switcheroo, we know he's going to sit there and counter one of those switcheroos. So he's going to go digging now that he's got that info, which is fair enough. It does what Irelias do, and takes a moment to think about the cards, right? Don't know if that was on in 1080p or not. There you go. Cool, he walks into there. Yep, we're okay with that, right? He gets another draw. So we know majority of his hand, we don't know 2 cards, right? Not the end of the world. He gets up to 5 points. We're no longer threatening victory, as it stands. But he knows we have a Sprite Fountain, and a Sneaky. And we're going to also draw 2 when we hold. Don't hand shuffle. Hand shuffling is for cringe people. Put your hand out as a power or a farming move, right? This is it. Show you that you don't need a hand shuffle. You're comfortable. You're chilling. You got nothing to hide. You're ready. And it helps with the mental games, right? Yep, so Irelias thinks there forever and drops another Stellar Coin. So we go up to 7 and threaten victory in the next turn. We draw. So we've managed to draw another Nocturne, very sad, plus another blue Teemo. So how do we play this, right? So we've got enough to... We've only got 4 purple. Very important to know. So what we're going to do is we're going to Spry Fountain and see if we can get out that Discipline or that Defiant Dance, and we're going to walk into there. Because there's no reason to not. One less buff card is good for us. Right, the Spry Fountain is doing not much, and if we can make him lose a buff card for when he has to conquer him back, very good for us. Now that he's let that die, he has to ride the wind in unless he's got a gust. Which he may not have realized. And if he rides the wind in, he's only got 1 mana left. So, if he only has 1 mana left, he can no longer play Not So Fast. He has to play Defiant Dance. He plays Defiant Dance and ride the wind here. This is not knowing the two cards in his hand, but knowing the rest. This is the only line he's got. He has to ride the wind in, and walk in the Stellar, draw an extra card, which is cool, right? He gets another card. But there's only 1 mana left. There's no possible way he can do anything except a Defiant Dance, and I just switcheroo and win the game. Right? This is what I've run through in my head. The moment he didn't buff his Stellar Corn, I knew that this game was kind of over. Right? Yeah. So he rides in, I do 1 switcheroo to get up to 3 might, and he goes down to 2, he does a Defiant Dance, in response I do another switcheroo again, and bam, now I'm up to enough might, and that's the game. So, GG's. So that was a 2-0 win against an Irelia in the grand finals of a skirmish. We also had the other battlefield quite comfortably holding with triple Teemos. So that's pretty rough for him to overcome. Well, we would have had it holding with triple Teemos. So even if our play misplayed and he, managed to draw a gust or something like that, it doesn't really matter for us. Like, let's say we walk in there, he rides the wind, he gets out one of my switcheroos, bounces, and then bounces me with a gust with that last bit of mana. Cool, not the end of the world. He does got the points to 6. We still do have 1 switcheroo left in hand. We're back over there. We do still have 1 switcheroo left in hand. Maybe none if he's done it right? If he's done the auto career, cool. We lose our switcheroos. Not the end of the world. Like, realistically, we've still got 15 potential damage, more likely sitting around that 10 damage mark, right? And 3 different triggers, and that can also hit Nocturnes. Albeit we've drawn some, right? And we've hit some already. Actually, we couldn't have hit any Nocturnes. All the Nocturnes were seen. So we were just holding on to all that damage, right? And that's pretty hard to overcome. Which is why I was confident. We'd already seen a gust or 2, and I don't think that he would be holding out the battlefield. And if he does, that's 1 less gust for our Teemos, which means that they're going to get the damage off. He uses a lot of mana there and runes there. He actually hasn't got much to be able to reconquer. He's got a Scuttle Crab he can walk in. He doesn't have enough mana to be able to play Irelia. Most likely, right? And if he does, he taps out for it and gets Irelia up to, at best, a trade. And then we just, sneaky deckhand back in, potentially, and win the game, right? What's that? She goes to the 4, gets a +2, up to 6. Let's see, 4 up to 5 for readying, 6 for the target, 8 for the Defiant Dance. I go to 4 might. Yeah, she's not 8. Statistically, out of 15 cards, we're going to hit 8 damage and actually just kill her outright, right? So we're pretty confident that we can hold that. Worst case is a trade. And they walk the Scuttle in, go up to 7, and we've still got, and they'll be fully tapped out. So we've got a Spry Fountain, we can walk that into the Stellar Corn to get a trade. and we're able to drop a sneaky deckhand there, get the conquer, and ideally would have another card, a Sprite Call, another Sprite Fountain, a Wind Singer, something along anything along those lines to bounce bounce the Scuttle and stop them getting tagged, right? Like that's all the stuff you have to think through in your head in the Irelia matchup, and have backups for what they can do to you, and not overcommit to bad plays. So don't even hide switcheroos if you can help it. They are your card to win. And if you can keep them in your hand, it's much better than hiding them. Unless you need the runes for something, or you don't have enough runes to play it. And as I said, sometimes the only way you can win this matchup is if you gamble, right? You need to think that they are going to A, misplay, or B, not have the card they need to counter your card. You sometimes, you have to pray they don't have a gust and hide a switcheroo raw dog, right? Because that's just the risky play, and they wouldn't think you were going to do that. If you've been holding it in your hand for like every single game you've ever had, and all of a sudden you've hidden it one game, they're going to be like, whoa, right? So you can set up this false narrative that you never hide switcheroo. So these are all things you have to do to give yourself the advantage into the Irelia matchup. And it's very tough. It relies on them making misplays. Of course, 100%. But you do have a fair bit of agency, especially against not pro players. Anyone who's not at regionals in your locals, you actually can win those matches a lot easier. Because A, they'll misplay, and B, you can just kind of mind control them, right? And you can have the agency and control of the game, and they're playing into your narrative. So this is all what you can do. So hopefully that helps you beat the Irelia in your locals and get some skirmish wins, right? Or even get yourself a best of at regionals, and come join me in the server with some special roles to prove that you are the best of. So hopefully that helps. Thanks, and you guys enjoyed the breakdown of my skirmish dub this weekend against arguably the hardest matchup in the match for Teemo. If you like this kind of content, and I can keep putting more out, please check and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, and leave a comment of how you run into the Irelia matchups, and if there's any sort of ideas and strategies you found that works. So thank you for watching. Make sure to join my Discord as well, where you can chat to me and the community about Teemo shenanigans, as well as some Vex hiding shenanigans, right? And the future upcoming shenanigans for the next set. So, and I'll be starting to stream on Twitch a lot more, so keep up for that. And thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day, night, or wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.